The story opens in a city of vivid color and restless life. At its heart rises a colossal palace, its white stone towers looming over the streets like silent judges. In the central square stands a golden statue, a mounted horseman, sword raised high, forever frozen in triumph. Imperial guards patrol the streets in pairs. Their armor clinks softly as they walk, voices low. "Doesn't it feel too quiet?" a young guard asks. The older one snorts. "No one ever knows when the revolutionaries will crawl out of their holes again. Just a pack of village bumpkins who banded together and dared to call themselves a movement. It's been peaceful lately," the younger guard replies. "Maybe they finally realized their rebellion was pointless." His companion nods. "The Imperial Knights likely crushed them already. Let's hope it stays that way." Far beneath the city, hidden from the sunlight and the Emperor's gaze, those same bumpkins stand gathered in silence. Torches flicker against stone walls. At the center of the chamber lies a weathered map. Their leader speaks, his voice steady and merciless. "The Emperor must die. The Empire must fall. Only then can the kingdom be restored." Around him stand knights of every kind, battle-hardened, scarred, resolute. Their expressions reveal no doubt. The leader turns to one man. "Logan," he says, "you have been entrusted with the most important mission of all. You will protect the secret manuscript at any cost." Logan already knows the weight of those words. The meeting disperses. The revolutionaries fade back into the shadows of ordinary life. Logan's friend, Charlie, jogs up beside him, grinning nervously. "You know, you're a real patriot. That manuscript, people died to obtain it, to keep it from the Empire. If it's under your protection, their army will come for you first." Charlie exhales. "Guess that's the price of duty." Logan stops and turns to him. "You talk as if I volunteered." Charlie hesitates, realizing his mistake. "I know it's because you can read the ancient language. Still, you didn't complain." Logan cuts him off. "Enough. Don't insult the others. This isn't about patriotism." His voice hardens. "It's about revenge." The world shifts. Logan stands years in the past, sword in hand, facing his younger brother in a friendly duel. Onlookers whisper among themselves. "Damien is a genius. He's only held a sword for 3 years. And Logan? 10 years of training just to reach this level." Each word stabs deeper than steel. Logan's grip tightens. His irritation boils beneath the surface. They whisper of talent. Of destiny. Of how bleak the family's future looks. Time blurs. Logan now stands before his father, head bowed. His crime hangs heavy in the air. "You dared to use paralyzing poison on your own brother?" His father roars. Fear floods Logan's eyes. Horror. Shame. "You let your inferiority drive you mad." His father continues. "You harmed your own blood. His verdict is final. You are no longer my son." Logan is cast out, expelled from the only home he ever knew. He becomes a mercenary. Years pass, 10 of them, filled with blood, survival, and regret. Only then does he finally understand what kind of person he had once been. When he returns home, seeking redemption, it is already too late. Sometime later, Logan walks through the city when murmurs ripple through the crowd. "A public hanging today. In the square." A name is spoken. Logan freezes. His blood turns cold. He turns and runs. The square is chaos, crowds gathered, soldiers shouting. The condemned man stands bound above them all. Damien. They say he was an aura user. A warrior who fought against the Empire on the front lines. The royal family retreats in fear, clearing the square. Logan's thoughts race. He has to say something. Anything. Survive, he begs in his mind. Please, just survive. The blade falls. He is too late. The executioner raises Damien's severed head for all to see. "Let this be a warning," the guard declares. "This fate awaits all traitors to the kingdom." Logan finally broke. Bitter tears streamed down his face, unrestrained and raw. From that moment onward, his mind held only one thought: revenge. The Empire had taken everything from him. His family. His brother. His future. He would make them pay. The scene shifts to the present. Royal guards thunder through the streets, closing in fast. Logan runs, breath burning in his lungs, boots slamming against stone. He turns a corner. A dead end. Steel flashes behind him. A guard lunges. Logan pivots just in time. Their swords collide, sparks exploding into the air. The clash rings through the alley as Logan parries, steps inside the guard's reach, and slashes cleanly across his throat. The man collapses to his knees, choking, before crumpling lifelessly to the ground. Another guard charges. Logan doesn't hesitate. He drives his blade straight into the man's neck. Blood spills as the body falls. A third guard strikes from behind. In one smooth motion, Logan spins and cuts him down as well. Before he can catch his breath, steel surrounds him. Guards close in from all sides, blades raised. "How dare you steal the Empire's treasure?" one of them shouts. Logan looks at them, and chuckles. Not fear. Not despair. A plan. From his cloak, he pulls out a small magical sphere. Its surface pulses violently. He crushes it in his palm. The next instant, a blinding, blood-red light erupts outward. The entire kingdom sees it. The explosion tears through the city, a shockwave rippling across streets and towers alike. Buildings shudder. Windows shatter. The night sky burns. As everything fades, Logan's thoughts grow quiet. His life had been filled with regret. He existed only for revenge. At least, he thinks faintly, I managed to warm up the Imperial Guards a little. Yet even in death, one regret refuses to fade. His brother. At least I can apologize now, he thinks. I'll meet you in the afterlife. Suddenly, Logan gasps. His eyes snap open. Cold sweat drenches his face. His head throbs violently, pain splitting his skull. He clutches his temples, breathing hard. Impossible. He couldn't have survived that explosion. Horror fills his eyes. Footsteps approach. A man rushes to his side. Young master! Are you feeling unwell? Logan freezes. He recognizes him. Rick! Logan whispers. Rick, his main servant. But Rick died 30 years ago. You're alive? Logan mutters. Rick pales instantly. Why, young master? You must have hit your head, he shouts, panic rising. Someone fetch a doctor. Logan turns his gaze toward the window. Outside, knights train in the courtyard, their movements sharp and disciplined. Banners flutter in the wind. He recognizes the emblem. His family crest. His breath catches. Then, a voice. Familiar. Warm. Impossible. Logan's body stiffens. His blood runs cold. Brother? He turns slowly. Damien stands there. Alive. Logan remembers this moment clearly. It was after their first duel, the one Logan lost. Enraged, humiliated, he had lashed out, hurling cruel insults. He accused Damien of being nothing more than the Count's mistress's child. Yet despite everything, Damien had always followed him. Always looked up to him. Rick returns, bowing deeply. Young master needs rest. He must not be disturbed. Logan smiles. A gentle, sincere smile. Damien, he says softly. Come here. The servants freeze in shock. This wasn't like him. Until now, Logan had done nothing but curse and belittle everyone around him. Damien steps forward hesitantly. I am sorry, he says. I should have been more careful during the duel. Logan shakes his head. No. I'm the one who should apologize. Damien blinks, confused. You did nothing wrong. Logan continues. But then, his voice breaks. He doubles over, trembling. His chest tightens, a lump forming in his throat as tears spill freely from his eyes. Damien freezes, unable to speak. Logan grabs his brother's shoulders and pulls him close. I'm sorry, he says again and again. For everything. For all the pain I caused you. His face is flushed red, tears soaking into Damien's clothes. Damien whispers. Brother, why are you crying? Logan doesn't answer. He just hugs him tighter. Slowly, Damien begins to cry too. The two brothers stand there, holding each other in silence, the world fading away around them. After some time, Damien gently pulls back. I'll come visit you later, he says softly before leaving the room. Once the door closes, Logan's expression changes. He exhales slowly. So it's real, he thinks. He had truly returned to the past. And this time, he could change everything. A maid entered Logan's room quietly, bowed deeply, and immediately apologized. Fear trembled in her voice. Moments later, Rick hurried in behind her. Young master, Maria disturbed your rest. I forgot to warn her. Logan waved a hand. It's fine. Both servants froze. She did nothing wrong. He continued calmly. Rick blinked, stunned. Logan remembered how he had once treated his servants, with cruelty, impatience, contempt. This fear was something he had cultivated himself. Rick, Logan said. Bring me a pen and paper. The words sent a visible shudder through the room. The servants exchanged frightened glances. A pen and paper, what punishment required that? When Rick returned with the items, Logan accepted them and said, Thank you. Rick nearly dropped them. You may go. Rick hesitated. Young master, are you truly all right? Does your head still hurt? The repeated question scraped at Logan's nerves. His expression darkened, and his voice rose sharply. Enough. Rick immediately relaxed. There it is, he thought in relief. That's the young master I know. He bowed quickly and exited, telling the other servants that Logan had shouted at him, which meant everything was normal again. Everyone returned to work. Alone at last, Logan exhaled slowly. Be patient, he told himself. This fear is my own doing. He dipped the pen in ink. What mattered now was the future. First, 10 years from now, a war against the Empire. A catastrophe that would erase not just his family, but an entire nation. Before that, 1 year from now, the War of the Vassals. Sudden. Brutal. It would partially destroy his house and plunge them into darkness. He wrote everything down carefully. To change any of it, he needed power. And for that, he needed his father. Logan left his room and walked through the estate. Wherever he went, servants gasped and shrank away from him. Suddenly, a maid rushing past dropped a bundle of bed linens directly at his feet. She froze. Her face drained of color. Why her? Why now? She didn't know what to do. Her legs trembled. Logan stepped forward and extended his hand. Are you hurt? The maid looked up. She saw a smile, awkward, unfamiliar, and eyes that still carried a sharp, blood-tinged intensity. Her knees buckled. She fell to the floor and began begging for mercy, apologizing over and over. Logan stiffened. So even kindness terrifies them now. He withdrew his hand slowly. This will take time, he realized. All I can do is prove I've changed. Later, standing alone before a mirror, Logan frowned. That smile really is creepy, he muttered. When he reached his father's chambers, the attendant announced. The first young master has come to see you. Logan's steps faltered. The last time he had stood before his father, he had been disowned. In his previous life, Logan had resented Patrick for years, thought him cold, heartless, a man who gave up on his own son. How stupid I was, Logan thought now. Sending away one's own child, no parent could do that without breaking inside. He entered the chamber and bowed. Father! Patrick looked up. Seeing him, alive, steady, unchanged, nearly brought tears to Logan's eyes. His father looked better than he remembered. Why have you come? Patrick asked, his tone distant but controlled. Logan expected this. For Patrick, no time had passed. For Logan, it had been 20 years. I wish to request permission, Logan said, steadying himself. I want to train alone, near the family cemetery. Patrick's eyes narrowed slightly. To win a regional war, Logan continued. Our territory must grow stronger. Knights, guards, weapons, everything must improve. That required money. And money was something his family lacked. In the city, their house was known as a poor one. But Logan knew something no one else did. In 3 months, an event would occur, one that could grant him a sum equal to the family's entire annual budget. But to seize that opportunity, he would need strength. And the right to vote. Patrick studied his son with tired eyes. So, he said at last, you plan to run away again because you lost to your brother? Logan shook his head. No. I finally realized how far behind I am. Late as it may be, I've drawn my conclusions. Patrick scoffed. As if a lack of persistence is your only flaw. I don't believe you've recovered at all. I know, Logan replied quietly. My behavior was the greater problem. I regret it deeply. His father rubbed his temples. I'm tired. All you ever do is talk. He turned away. Leave. Logan bowed. Before stepping out, he spoke one last time. Instead of admitting my weaknesses, I vented my anger on others. I was foolish, childish. This training isn't only to grow stronger, it's to learn control over myself. Patrick paused. When he finally looked back, his gaze had changed. This time, he said slowly. Your words don't sound like empty excuses. Logan exhaled. I intend to train for 3 months. Patrick frowned. To defeat your brother? No, Logan replied at once. The time limit is only to force efficiency, to draw out everything I can. Silence stretched. At last, Patrick nodded. You have changed, a little. He waved his hand. Very well. You may train. As Logan turned to leave, Patrick added, almost as an afterthought. It's already spring, but the ground is still cold. Try not to freeze to death. A few days later, Logan arrived at the training grounds. It was a secluded place, reserved for immediate family alone. No one would disturb him here, and more importantly, no one would witness his methods yet. In his previous life, Logan had learned the secrets of the divine sword. Once he mastered them, he burned the manuscript so it would never fall into the Empire's hands. The book had borne a golden falcon on its cover. Its contents recorded techniques passed down from an ancient hero, the one who slew the evil dragon that once ruled the world. Logan had encrypted the knowledge using the Independent Army's secret code. Even so, by the time he fully understood it, his body had already failed him. His age. His lack of talent. Even Aura Masters and Archmages of the Empire had no longer frightened him, but his own limits had. Now, having returned to the past, he had another chance. He focused inward. Power had to be gathered at the heart, condensed, and forged into a core. A task difficult even for those with above-average talent. In his previous life, he would have broken long before this point. But now, his body responded differently. As if it had been waiting. Suddenly, a brilliant core ignited in his chest. Dense energy boiled within him, then surged outward, flooding his body. His flesh absorbed it greedily, like parched earth drinking rain after a long drought. Logan drew his sword and swung. Energy surged forward. It worked. A laugh escaped his lips. His physique, his instincts, everything had changed. His body now aligned perfectly with the path of the sword. He didn't know why the core had formed so quickly. But at this rate, within 3 months, he would become terrifyingly strong. 3 months passed. The final day arrived. Logan took his stance, muscles tightening as he gathered everything he had refined during this time. His sword hummed with restrained power. He swung. A blade of energy tore through the air and slammed into the tree before him. The trunk split cleanly in two. Logan stared. Then he collapsed backward onto the ground, laughter bursting from his chest. This power exceeded all expectations. A beginner should never be capable of such a technique. Though the single strike drained nearly all his strength, it was more than enough. An ace. His goal was achieved. With pride, Logan prepared to report to his father. But first, he washed himself and changed. When he arrived at Patrick's chambers, a knight stepped forward, blocking his path. "You cannot enter," the knight said. "The lord is unavailable." "What?" Logan frowned. "Family law states that even direct relatives must announce themselves before meeting the head of the house." Rick frowned beside him. "Those laws are centuries old. 3 months ago, he entered freely." The knight shrugged. "Then the guard failed his duty." From a nearby building, voices drifted over. "No matter what, he's still the first young master. Coward ran off after losing to his little brother." The knight smirked slightly, confident Logan wouldn't even dare respond. Logan clenched his fist. So this is my reputation now, he thought. So low that even his own family's knights mocked him openly. He exhaled slowly. Fine. He would prove how much he had changed. Step by step. And this time, no one would dare laugh again. Logan spoke calmly, but his words cut sharply. "This knight is preventing me from meeting my father," he said, hiding behind a family law that outlived its usefulness centuries ago. The knight frowned, clearly unable to understand why the first young master had suddenly chosen to assert his authority. Logan's gaze hardened. Without another word, he reached into his coat, pulled out a glove, and flung it straight into the knight's face. "I challenge you to a duel." The courtyard went silent. Rick stood behind Logan, trembling so badly he could barely remain upright. Logan's voice rang out coldly. "Look at you, tail between your legs, trembling before the very coward you mocked behind his back. Your best years are already behind you." The knight's face twisted with rage. Blood rushed to his head. In the end, he nodded sharply. "Very well." Not long after, the duelists gathered at the appointed grounds. Guards clustered around, whispering openly. "He'll lose. Obviously. It's not even a question. After losing to his brother, he hid for 3 months just to avoid seeing him. How long do you think this coward will last?" Every word reached Logan's ears. Not a single spectator believed in his victory. The knight studied him with a thin smile. "You look relaxed," he said. "Try not to embarrass yourself." So he dares fight, Logan thought, but lacks the courage to insult me openly. Servants gathered as well, drawn by curiosity and dread. Rick had turned deathly pale. His breathing was shallow, his hands clenched so tightly they trembled. Finally, the judge stepped forward. "For safety reasons," he announced, "this duel will be conducted with wooden swords." Logan shot him a cold, condemning glance. The judge swallowed. This young master is stubborn, he thought grimly. But rules are rules. Wooden swords were handed out. Yet everyone knew, knights fought with force, not steel. Even wooden blades could kill. Whatever happened next would no longer be his responsibility. Still, he prayed the knight would show restraint. The duel began. Both opponents leapt back, widening the distance between them. The knight's aura flared violently. "I'll teach this brat his place." Rick watched in horror, barely daring to blink. Logan remained calm. To the untrained eye, this might look terrifying, he thought. But his power is clumsy. Unrefined. He lacks control. Fury burned in the knight's chest, fed by Logan's earlier words. Aura surged through his body, causing the wooden sword in his hands to glow faintly, heat shimmering around it. At 40 years old, he was the weakest member of the Order of Knights, counting the days until retirement. But now, rage drowned out caution. With a sharp burst of power, he lunged forward, aura exploding outward. Rick screamed. "Stop the duel!" The referee clenched his teeth. He agreed to this. The knight's thoughts raced. "I'm retiring anyway, might as well end this properly." He unleashed his secret technique. Logan moved. With a single hand, he intercepted the attack. The knight's sword was redirected effortlessly, its force dispersed to the side as Logan stepped inside his guard and locked his movements. The knight froze. He tried to wrench the weapon free. It wouldn't budge. Panic flooded his eyes. Finally, he dropped to one knee. "I surrender." Logan looked down at him calmly. "Is this your limit?" he asked. "And you dare call yourself a knight?" Shock rippled through the crowd. The defeated knight lowered his head completely, kneeling in submission. The guards whispered among themselves. "They were too fast. I couldn't even follow their movements." Silence hung heavy over the courtyard. Then Logan turned to the judge. "I wish to give him a second chance," he said evenly. The knight remained on his knees, staring at the ground in disbelief. He could not understand how it had happened, how this man had defeated him so completely. Refusal burned in his chest. Rage followed. Suddenly, he lunged from behind, attacking in a reckless outburst. A mistake. Logan reacted instantly. He turned, redirected the blow with a sharp parry, and sent the knight crashing to the ground. Logan looked down at him calmly. "I said I'd give you a second chance," he said coldly. "Not permission to bare your fangs again." The knight opened his mouth. I admit defeat." Logan struck him in the face before the words fully left his lips. Mercy has limits, Logan thought. He had already shown far more restraint than this vassal deserved, a man bold enough to defy his lord's son. Disgust flickered across Logan's face. The next moment, he unleashed a storm of blows. Wood cracked against flesh. Aura surged. Each strike was precise, controlled, merciless. The knights, servants, and guards watched in stunned silence. Rick cried out, "Young master, please stop!" No one recognized Logan anymore. In just 3 months, he had not only awakened power, he had completely reforged his swordsmanship. When Logan finally stepped back, the knight lay unconscious, broken and unmoving. Silence followed. Then, "Well?" a familiar voice said, calm and measured. "It seems you've truly awakened." Logan turned. Patrick stood at the edge of the grounds. "You were watching?" Logan asked, surprised. His father nodded. "The entire duel." Logan lowered his gaze. "I let go of my resentment. I freed myself from the past. And while correcting my thoughts, I felt strength fill me." His eyes narrowed slightly. "In my previous life, I felt this only once, after I abandoned revenge against my family." He exhaled. "I didn't awaken until I was 40. Patrick studied him carefully. "You have changed." Then his voice hardened. "But the first thing you did with that realization was to attack a knight. He deserved it." Logan replied evenly. "Did you hear what the guards were saying?" "I heard everything," Patrick said. "But was it necessary to go that far?" "Yes," Logan answered without hesitation. "He tried to deceive the Lord's son and make me a laughingstock. If I had allowed it, discipline within our house would have collapsed." He continued, voice firm. "Hierarchy is the pillar that holds any structure together. Once it cracks, balance is lost, and chaos follows." Patrick remained silent. Logan added, 10 years as a mercenary taught me something else. Among armed men, self-will must be cut down decisively. That night will serve as an example." Patrick sighed. He made a grave mistake. He forgot his duty and tried to exploit you. Then his eyes narrowed. "But you overdid it. You still need restraint." Logan was surprised. "That was easier than I expected," he thought. "Do you wish to receive punishment for this?" Patrick suddenly asked. Logan shook his head. "No. I don't believe my actions were entirely correct, but I won't repeat them. And nothing like this will happen again without your permission." Patrick paused. Then he said, almost casually, "You have yet to receive an official rank." Logan stiffened. "And," Patrick continued, "your fiancée will be arriving soon." Logan's heart skipped. So it begins. His original plan resurfaced instantly, to use this engagement to secure a large sum of money. Not long after, Lady Maria arrived at the estate, escorted by her guards. As she entered the reception hall, every gaze turned toward her. Her beauty was undeniable, graceful, refined, commanding attention without effort. "I haven't seen the Duke in a long time," Maria said warmly. Patrick smiled faintly. "You've grown into a true lady, my young mistress." Rick stood nearby, stunned. "I remember her as a child," he thought. "Now, she's breathtaking." Only Logan showed no reaction. Though he should have been the happiest person in the room, his expression remained unreadable. Maria gestured to her guards. "You may step aside." She reached for the letter the Duke had sent with her. The letter went on for nearly half an hour. By the time Maria finished reading, everyone present looked exhausted. The words were polished, elegant, endlessly courteous, and unbearably tedious. Then she reached the final lines. The Duke formally requested a dissolution of the engagement. Logan exhaled quietly. So that's what this was, he thought. All that flowery language just to say one thing. In his mind, he could hear the Duke's true voice clearly enough. "I expected Patrick to become an Aura master. Instead, he's been nothing more than a high-ranking knight for 20 years. And his son is even worse. Why should we lower our standards and bind our house to theirs?" Patrick's reaction was immediate. His aura surged violently, filling the hall with crushing pressure. The very air trembled. An insult. An unforgivable one. Maria hurriedly stepped forward. "Please, Duke Patrick, I anticipated this reaction. That is precisely why I asked to deliver the message personally." Her voice was steady, sincere. "When I was a child, I spent an entire year in this house. I still remember it clearly, the estate, the kindness, the young masters. Those memories are precious to me." Her eyes softened. "I have no desire to discard them. But I am bound to my family. I must follow their decisions." She bowed deeply. "That is why I wish to apologize in person." The servants exchanged glances, visibly moved. They saw no calculation in her, only sincerity and regret. Only Logan felt irritation rise. Enough already. Then a sharp voice cut through the room. "And what is the reason for this divorce?" the woman asked calmly. Surely such a decision was not made without cause. Logan turned. It was his stepmother. Linda, Damien's biological mother. She had long viewed Logan as an obstacle to succession. He hadn't expected her to intervene now. Maria hesitated. I don't know the reason myself. I was raised to marry and become part of another family. My father does not discuss such matters with me. Linda smiled faintly. So you came to announce the dissolution of an engagement, without explanation? A ripple of discomfort passed through the hall. Maria gathered herself. My family intends to compensate your house with $3 million. Silence. Then, the family's financial steward nearly shouted with joy. His face lit up as if salvation itself had arrived. But Patrick's expression darkened. $3 million? He thundered. You dare think money can buy back our dignity? His aura erupted fully. The pressure slammed into everyone present. Guards staggered. Some nearly fell to their knees. Maria's escort stepped forward instantly, placing himself before her. My lady, stay behind me. He turned to Patrick, bowing sharply. Duke Patrick, please calm yourself. Let us continue this discussion rationally. Patrick narrowed his eyes. You, he said slowly. You are a high-ranking knight. He studied the young man with interest. So young, and already at that level. A rising star of a friendly house. Patrick continued. Wounding you would be a fair exchange for the insult dealt to my family's honor. The knight held his ground. My lord speaks highly of you, he replied calmly. He calls you a man of honor. He also swore that neither the young lady nor I would be harmed. Maria stepped forward again. Please accept the money, not as an insult, but as a sincere attempt to preserve friendship between our houses. There will be public criticism regardless of the circumstances. Patrick clenched his fist. If I push further, he realized, I'd become the dishonorable one. And suddenly, he understood. That was the Duke's intention all along. At last, Patrick exhaled. A guest remains a guest, he said firmly. Even one who brings unpleasant news. My house will not oppress you. Relief spread among the guards. But, Patrick continued coldly, we will not accept compensation for the dissolution of this engagement. He paused. I ask only one thing. His gaze turned to Maria. Apologize, properly, to my son. The one you were meant to marry. The household guards straightened proudly. As expected of our lord. Logan opened his mouth. Father, he said, stepping forward. All eyes turned to him. As the one directly affected by the broken engagement, I wished to speak. Inside, his thoughts raced. Just an apology? $3 million is our entire annual budget. Half of that comes from Linda's family. If that support stops, we're finished. We need that money. At any cost. Father, Logan continued aloud, I believe we should accept Lady Maria's offer. Patrick's eyes widened in disbelief. Are you asking me? He roared. To retract my own words? His presence bore down on Logan, pure pressure, unfiltered authority. Even without aura, he was still a high-ranking knight. The room trembled. Logan clenched his teeth. If I can't resolve this now, I'll never move forward. And this time, he would not back down. The honor of our house is not so cheap, Patrick said coldly. We will not trade it for money. Logan lowered his gaze. Not so poor? He thought bitterly. Father, our house is drowning. In his mind, the numbers lined up with cruel clarity. $3 million owed to the bank. Annual interest of $150,000. Without external support, bankruptcy was inevitable. He wanted to say it aloud. But this was an official gathering. So he restrained himself. Instead, Logan spoke calmly. Father, the reason we should accept the $3 million is precisely because of honor. Patrick frowned. The house of Maria stands above ours. Logan continued. Their count rules the entire East. Even if his power does not directly govern us, his influence does. If we accept nothing but an apology, rumors will spread, that we groveled, that we sought favor. Maria interrupted gently. My family is reasonable. We respect the honor of Duke Patrick's house. Logan turned to her. Yet you came here to break the engagement. Maria had told him softly that they would part ways. She asked to create one final memory together. At that moment, Logan's world had already begun to crumble. Desperate and in love, he chose to risk everything, to flee with her. Then, a dagger flashed. Maria hurled it from beneath her dress. Logan barely deflected it. Her expression changed instantly. Cold. Mocking. Understand your place, she said. You can't possess me. She laughed. You even lost to a child. That made things easier. Thank you. Then she tore her clothes and screamed. Her guards rushed in. Logan was caught standing there, weapon drawn. Guilty. Disgraced. His family apologized. Paid compensation. Lost all trust in him. From that day on, Logan never trusted women again. This time, he thought, she plans to take the money and leave cleanly. Originally, Logan had intended to restore his reputation slowly, prove himself through patience and effort. But the duel with the knight had opened his eyes. The guards had already been mocking him openly. Rumors spread freely in his absence. 9 months remained before the regional war. Reputation no longer mattered. Power did. Logan stepped forward. I agree to accept the compensation. The hall froze. Patrick stared at him in disbelief. How dare you contradict my will? Logan met his gaze. A hollow apology is meaningless. If our honor is worth only words that vanish into the air, then its value is already weightless. Maria quickly said. Our house will submit to the will of Lord Patrick. Please, make your final decision. Saving her father's reputation, Logan noted coldly. Though she must be furious at paying $3 million. Patrick closed his eyes briefly. As head of this house, he said, a sincere apology is enough for me. Then he added slowly, but the final decision belongs to my son. Gasps rippled through the room. Linda's eyes widened. Maria stiffened. This was not the outcome she had expected. Hostility flickered across her gaze. Patrick looked back at Logan. If you sell honor today, you'll find it easier to do so tomorrow. Logan bowed. I understand. And still, I accept the compensation. Maria's face flushed with fury. This was never part of her plans. Nor her father's. They had expected humiliation, not payment. Patrick turned away. You've changed, he said coldly. But only for the worse. I failed to teach you the true value of honor. Logan remained silent. I'm doing this for the family, he told himself. Nothing more. Later, when the funds were transferred, Logan stared at the sum displayed before him. $3 million. He forced himself to remain calm. No triumph. No relief. First, he would deposit it in the bank. Only then could the real work begin. A knock echoed at the door. Logan assumed it was Rick. Instead, Dwayne entered, the steward of finances and his father's most trusted man. Dwayne paused at the threshold, studying him. This is the hardest moment of my life, he thought. As the family's financial manager, he had been forced to slash the castle's budget year after year. At times, he had even begged his father-in-law for assistance, humiliating himself just to keep the household functioning. More than once, he had wondered what he truly was, a financial minister, or merely the leader of beggars. Had this not been his homeland, he would have left long ago. But now there was hope. At least 2 years of breathing room. In his eyes, Logan was still the same fool. Unthreatening. Reckless. Unaware. He cleared his throat. I came only to greet you. You surprised me yesterday. You stood your ground, even under pressure that was entirely unjustified. Dwayne smiled faintly. It speaks well of the way this family raises its sons. Logan was unimpressed. He looked up calmly. What nonsense are you talking about? Dwayne blinked. So blunt? Recovering quickly, he continued. In times like these, 3 million gold is rain in a drought. Your decisiveness gave the family room to breathe. Logan's reply was immediate. I won't be handing over the money. Dwayne froze. He had expected resistance, but not outright refusal. So he plans to spend it all on himself. Suppressing his emotions, Dwayne forced himself to remember 20 years of humiliation, kneeling before lenders, flattering those who held coin, doing whatever was necessary to secure funds. Then, Logan noticed the tears. How bad is it? He asked. Dwayne swallowed. You may not know, but the house owes the bank $3 million. I know, Logan replied. That stunned him. Now is harvest season. Logan continued evenly. The interest can be paid. Dwayne stared. How do you know all this? As a rule, Logan said. Running barren land requires money. And we never have enough. Silence fell. I'm not refusing to help. Logan added. I'm refusing to waste the money. Dwayne's hands trembled. You think paying off debt fixes everything? Logan continued. What changes afterward? Our budget stabilizes. Dwayne replied defensively. The castle becomes manageable for a few years. And then? Logan pressed. We fall back into debt, with nothing to sell. No industry. No leverage. It was a vicious cycle. And I intend to break it. The money would fund his plan. Dwayne studied him again, this time differently. This was no longer the careless boy who ignored the family's struggles. If you cooperate, Logan said, I'll cover part of the household expenses. Dwayne exhaled sharply. And what do you need? Mercenaries, Logan replied. Later, Logan prepared to leave the estate. Rick stopped him, eyes wide. What's happening to you? You just returned from training. I need to earn money. Rick nearly choked. You just received a fortune. The Lord will never approve, Rick said anxiously. The castle is already on edge. When Rick realized Logan planned to leave in secret, he cried out and threw himself onto the floor, blocking the doorway. You'll have to step over me. Logan sighed. Relax. I left a letter for my father. No one will blame you. Patrick was furious when he read it. Rick sat trembling before him, barely daring to breathe. Young Master Logan is insane, Rick thought. 2 centuries ago, their house had ruled vast southern territories. Endless grain plains. Absolute authority. 3 generations of misrule destroyed it all. Their lands were stripped away. Their fields divided. Their wealth scattered. Now, no valuable resources. No mines. No trade goods. Even if they won the regional war, they would remain dependent. To break free, Logan would need far more than 3 million. And he knew it. Logan arrived at the greatest trading city in the kingdom. The air itself buzzed with commerce. Merchants shouted from every corner, advertising gemstones, silks, enchanted tools, and foreign curios. The endless noise reminded Logan just how far he had traveled, and how distant his family estate now was. If my information is correct, he thought, the Golden Beetle lives here. Philip, one of the Empire's wealthiest merchants. A man whispered about with awe and suspicion alike. The Empire itself was the strongest nation on the continent, a centralized power ruled by merit alone. Talent mattered more than blood, gender, or age. Anyone capable could rise. Even foreigners. Philip was the greatest example of that truth. Labeled a traitor by the kingdom, reviled as the Golden Beetle, he was in reality a military merchant whose wealth secretly supported his homeland's sovereignty. Through coin and influence, he did what armies could not. Then Logan saw him. A thin man sat slumped against a wall, staring at the ground. Philip. The man muttered hoarsely about being deceived. About fraud. About not knowing how to live anymore. Logan had heard rumors. His businesses had collapsed overnight, stripped bare by a massive scheme. It was a pitiful sight. Logan approached. Philip looked up, confused. Do I know you? Their eyes met. In Logan's gaze, Philip saw something familiar, something he had encountered countless times in negotiations. Greed. No, Philip corrected himself grimly. Ambition. Judging by the battered armor and the way Logan carried himself, Philip assumed he was a mercenary. Panic surged through him. I don't have money! Philip shouted suddenly. This isn't the time, come back in 3 days. I'll have funds from selling property then. His voice rose until he was nearly screaming, waving Logan away in terror. Logan raised a hand. Calm down. I'm not here to collect debts. Philip froze. I want to invest, Logan said calmly. Philip stared at him as though he were insane. Invest? He repeated. In me? He laughed bitterly. You need enough gold to clear my debts and rebuild everything. Then his gaze dropped to Logan's armor, dusty, worn, poorly maintained. Philip scoffed. And then he noticed the emblem. His expression twisted instantly. That crest. Southeast, isn't it? He sneered. House Logan. A bankrupt family that begs its in-laws for support. Logan stiffened. What kind of investment could you make? Philip continued. Your house can't even pay its own debts. You picked the wrong man, I'm ruined. Even at rock bottom, Logan noted, Philip's insight remained razor-sharp. A future tycoon indeed. Philip suddenly collapsed, clutching his stomach. I don't even have money for food. To stop the spiral, Logan released a trace of aura. Flames flickered across his hand. Philip's breath caught. Awakened at this age. A genius. No one that talented would throw away such a future on a fraud. Philip straightened immediately. I apologize, he said quickly. Too many disasters. I've grown sharp with everyone. Logan nodded. I want to hire you. For life. Philip frowned. My debts, your family doesn't have that kind of money. I'll cover the debt, Logan replied. Match it as your salary. And add 50,000 on top. He opened his bag. Gold spilled into view. Far more than anyone nearby had ever seen. Gasps rippled through the hut. To Philip, Logan now looked less like a man. And more like an angel wrapped in wealth. Logan handed him a contract. Sign. A mage girl overseeing the ritual explained. A blood-bound contract. If the subordinate intentionally harms the master, their soul will experience unbearable pain. She added calmly. To remove it, one must awaken powerful aura or hire a mage of the 4th circle or higher. When it was done, Philip felt hollow. As they left the hut, realization struck him like lightning. I signed my own death warrant. Then he looked again. Logan wasn't smiling. He wasn't cruel. I don't trust people I've just met, Logan said plainly. This is insurance. Once we understand each other, I'll remove it. Philip could only nod. He had no choice. What should I do first? Philip asked weakly. Buy monster meat. Philip blinked. That's madness. He said it out loud. Monster flesh was poisonous. It was burned, never sold. Logan smiled faintly. In a few years, he said, everything will change. The poison can be neutralized with common ingredients. By winter, the number of those cured of long-term incapacitation would begin to rise. Among them, the consumption of monster meat would trigger the emergence of Xak. Even men who had lost their fertility due to severe injuries would begin to recover. 1 year later, once the Imperial Magic Tower officially confirmed the phenomenon, Xak would vanish from shelves across the entire continent. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. Its effect on male vitality alone would make it priceless. With just 3 million gold, Logan would multiply his wealth several times over. Throughout this entire discussion, Philip was silently calculating something else entirely. Do I still have a chance to escape him? At the tavern, Philip finally exploded. You're insane! Spending $1 million on monster meat? Logan remained calm. We'll profit even if we spend more. Xak is worthless right now. Logan continued. People burn it because no one buys it. If we order monster corpses directly, the cost will be around 200 gold per unit, even including kingdom transport fees. Philip froze. So you're hiring a guild to hunt monsters, and then buying the remains? Yes. Philip shook his head. Wrong approach. No one wants monster meat. You don't need hunters, you just need buyers. If word spreads that someone is purchasing it, mercenaries will crawl out of every hole. They'll bring you meat from across the kingdom, already butchered. Logan paused. Then smiled. You're incredible. Philip straightened. Let me handle financial planning. My life now depends on yours, after all. Logan agreed. He ordered Philip to remain in the city and begin purchasing iron cartridges made from ironwood. I can't tell him yet, Logan thought. These are raw materials for war. In his past life, weapons forged from these materials were used during an invasion, tools so effective that even ordinary soldiers could suppress knights. Logan tasked Dwayne with recruiting mercenaries. These weapons would give them a decisive advantage in the upcoming regional war. But first, they needed a craftsman. And an instructor. 2 days later, Logan arrived at the mercenary city. There, he met James. I've never been an instructor, James said bluntly. No problem, Logan replied. You'll just train the mercenaries I hire. James frowned. I've supervised a few kids. That's it. I usually tell them to find professionals. You trained my unit after your injury, Logan thought. And your post-retirement skills surpassed everyone. James was a master of all weapons and an exceptional horseman. His value would skyrocket once he became an instructor, especially considering the elite mercenary squad he would later raise. Logan decided to bribe him. 4,000 gold. James stiffened. A high-ranking mercenary earned at most 2,000. No, James said firmly. 6,000. Still no. 7,000. James shouted about pride and honor. 8,000. James immediately dropped to one knee. I'm glad we understand each other. As they traveled together, Logan asked if James cared why he was recruiting mercenaries from his family's feudal city. James shrugged. As long as I'm paid, I don't care. Along the road, they encountered noble servants ordering people around like cattle. James snorted. This is the city of mercenaries and servants. You'll see worse. I know, Logan replied. I'm here to buy one. A seller mistook Logan for a country fool and tried to cheat him. James silenced him with a single glance. The man collapsed to his knees. Eventually, they reached a heavily guarded tent. An old man inside asked coldly, Do you know who you're looking for? I do, Logan replied. Bring out the gnome. The dealer sneered. Unusual races are rare. We take good care of them. Below, elves sat in cages, eyes dull and lifeless. Logan ignored them. I want the gnome. The dealer hesitated. Have you ever seen one before? Logan's voice hardened. Bring him. This one is obvious. Logan continued. Even among dwarf masters, he's exceptional. An expert-ranked gnome. Gnomes live to create. From childhood to old age, crafting and repairing were their reason for existence. The price is 200,000, the dealer said. Logan's aura flared. Do I look like an idiot? The tent went silent. After several tense minutes, the dealer swallowed. 50,000. As they left the tent, James clicked his tongue. He dropped the price by 50,000 in just a few minutes. He muttered. The dwarf dealer cursed Logan under his breath, calling him ruthless. Logan merely shrugged. Elementary bargaining. I didn't even have to try. Bill, the gnome, finally spoke, his voice cautious. Where are you taking me? To my family's estate, Logan replied. You'll craft things for me there. He glanced at the gnome. Gnomes are born craftsmen, but talent alone isn't enough. Those sold into subjugation lose their passion. Without it, they can't create true masterpieces. Then Logan added calmly. Serve me well for 20 years, and I'll send you back to the mountains. Bill froze. Then his eyes trembled, and filled with tears. He had never imagined such a future was possible. Suddenly, shouting erupted through the market. A runaway servant! Catch him! A man sprinted past, carrying someone on his shoulders, likely a relative. He barreled through the crowd, knocking people aside. Then a massive figure intercepted him, slammed him to the ground, and pinned him. The owner kicked the servant repeatedly. He bit my hand! The man shouted. Unacceptable behavior! James watched without interest. They're just servants. Not worth stopping for. Logan narrowed his eyes. The servant had mismatched eyes, one red, one blue. So it's you. In his past life, this man became infamous. An aristocratic killer. An aura user. First, a servant who escaped after killing his master. Then a fugitive who slaughtered soldiers, knights, and nobles sent after him. 10 years later, he reappeared, having awakened aura, and exterminated the entire family that once owned him. From then on, he hunted aristocrats relentlessly, earning a terrifying nickname. Logan remembered clearly. This incident shouldn't happen for another year. Which meant, he hasn't been sold yet. If Logan intervened now, he could secure a future aura wielder. The servant suddenly lunged and bit his owner's leg until blood flowed. If he's a rabid beast, someone scoffed. Better to cage him. The next kick never landed. Steel flashed. Logan blocked the man's leg with his sword. The owner stiffened, instantly recognizing that this wasn't some wandering traveler, but a client. Logan spoke calmly. I'll buy them. Their eyes are rare. Logan added. That makes them valuable. Inwardly, the man calculated. A strong young servant was worth around 300 gold. These two were malnourished, barely standing. Logan shattered the expectation. 500 each. The man's breath caught. That's 30 times their value. Logan said flatly. One's barely conscious. The other's half dead. The owner protested weakly. That won't even cover their original price. But he hesitated. Victor, the boy, was nothing but trouble. The man knew it. Things would only get worse. James carried the unconscious boy on his back. Before long, Victor stirred. Logan subtly released a thin stream of aura, carefully restoring the boy's body as they walked. Then, Victor's gaze sharpened. For a moment, Logan felt something unsettling. Can he see my aura? Even James couldn't. The next instant, Victor leapt from James's back and attacked. Logan sidestepped effortlessly and seized him. He lifted the boy by the neck. I don't know if you're possessed, Logan said coldly. Or just stupid, but you have fighting instincts. Victor struggled. But if you don't learn to choose your enemies, Logan continued, tightening his grip, you'll die early. He leaned closer. Disobey me again, and both you and your sister will be in danger. Victor froze. If it happens again, Logan added quietly, I'll erase both of you. Then his tone shifted. I plan to make a knight out of you. Victor's eyes widened. A knight, Logan said. An honorary aristocrat. Think about that. At the mention of his sister, Victor immediately nodded. Logan released him. Just as I thought, Logan reflected. His cruelty can be restrained through her. We'll begin initiation training once we return, Logan said. After we settle everything. Logan motioned for Jeff, the gnome, to step aside. There will be a contract, Logan explained. Serve me for 20 years. Then you return to the mountains. Jeff stared at him in disbelief. Logan understood. Such promises were easy to make, and easy to break. But Jeff saw something in Logan's eyes. Sincerity. His hands trembled as joy overwhelmed him. I will give everything I have, Jeff said hoarsely. I still can't believe it, he added. Then he straightened, bowed deeply, and spoke with reverence. Yes, sir. Logan thought to himself that if a contract alone was enough to reignite the gnome's passion, then that was already a tremendous gain. Motivated subordinates were invaluable. Through this, he could obtain everything he wanted. And yet, the greatest reward wasn't the contract at all, it was the aristocratic killer now walking under his banner. What Logan didn't know was that while he was away, rumors had already spread throughout his family's lands. His strange behavior had become gossip. His reputation had plunged to rock bottom, and finally caught up with him. Rick, left behind, was drowning in trouble. Running damage control. Apologizing. Explaining. Failing. More than once, Rick found himself silently asking what his damned master was doing. When Logan and his entourage finally returned to the estate, the reunion was explosive. Rick was furious. Absolutely livid. Yet Logan merely smiled, genuinely pleased to see him. You're smiling, Logan said lightly. That's good. Rick stared at him like he was looking at a stranger. Do you have any idea what people are saying about you? Logan asked calmly what Rick had been busy with during his absence. Rick didn't even know where to begin. A few days earlier, Philip had been making rounds through the city, striking deals and spreading word that someone wanted to buy monster meat in bulk. My employer, Philip said. From a barren feudal territory. People immediately connected the dots. They whispered about that Logan, the noble who broke off his engagement, the one rumored to have abused his fiancée. Philip, at first, thought that using those rumors might actually boost sales. Only later did he realize how ugly the full story was. Even so, his instincts screamed at him not to let this opportunity slip. 1 gold per kilogram, Philip declared. No mercenary would refuse to sell trash, even to a scumbag, if the price was right. If you want to make money, he shouted, bring me every scrap of calic meat you have. The aggressive pitch worked. Mercenaries flooded in. The rumor of Logan spread through thieves' dens, guild halls, and taverns alike. Now, Logan was praising Philip for flawless execution. Rick couldn't understand how his master could laugh. Look at the people you brought with you, Rick snapped. Look at their faces. Do you know how much gossip follows them? Logan remained calm. Too calm. Rick's voice trembled. Even your father is furious. When father and son finally met, Patrick wasted no time. Did you enjoy running away from home? He asked coldly. He had heard every rumor, Logan's madness, his cruelty, his disgrace. But he also admitted that at least Logan hadn't wasted his time. Logan shrugged. Rumors are just rumors. I'm not ashamed of anything I did. Linda immediately scoffed. The first young master still doesn't understand his place. She sneered. Nor how his actions stain our house's honor. Logan answered without emotion. There's no need for concern. I've barely spent any of the money from the broken engagement. The argument escalated. Voices overlapped. Tempers flared. Then Patrick slammed his hand down. Enough. Silence fell. I will speak with my son alone. Everyone was ordered out. When the doors closed, Patrick exhaled slowly. Let's speak honestly, he said. About what you're doing, and why. Logan felt it instantly. He won't back down this time. You wouldn't understand even if I explained, Logan replied quietly. Patrick's eyes hardened. Do you know what people are saying about you? He listed them one by one. Cruel. Vicious. Obsessed with money. Lately, even insane. How long do you expect me to cover for you? Patrick asked. If this is just a phase, then tell me. At least let me apologize to your mother. Logan froze. His breath caught. His mother. Patrick had never mentioned her in his past life. Not even when Logan had been cast out. Logan asked for a year. 1 year, and nothing more. After that, Patrick would understand why he was acting this way. When Patrick was finally alone, the words lingered like an aftertaste he couldn't wash away. A year. How strange that such a bargain could exist between a father and his child. Yet Patrick knew the truth. If Logan failed to answer for his actions after that year passed, then a decision would have to be made. Because before he was a father, he was the head of the house. That night, Patrick stood before a quiet room and whispered an apology to his late wife. He had promised her he would protect their son at all costs. That Logan would grow into a good man. Now, he wasn't sure whether he had protected him too much, or not enough. I should have been more careful, Patrick murmured. He had no idea what Logan was truly planning. Some time later, Logan met his younger sibling. Damon had awakened his aura. The boy stood straighter than before, his presence subtly heavier, his eyes burning with restrained excitement. I knew I could do it, Damon said, barely containing his grin. In Logan's past life, Damon's awakening hadn't happened until the War of the Regions. This time, it had come far earlier. It was because of you, Damon continued. The Knights tried to stop me from seeing you when you returned. Logan frowned. They couldn't. Damon smiled wider. I awakened my aura to meet you. Only then did Logan learn the truth. Damon had fought his way past 2 Knights the moment his power surfaced. Raw. Unstable. But real. If Logan taught him the secrets of the divine sword, once that power stabilized, Damon would surpass his former self. After the meeting, the boy practically glowed with happiness. Soon after, Logan called for Dwayne. The task had been completed. 350 mercenaries had answered the summons. When they arrived, and found themselves waiting 10 days in a crumbling estate, the mood turned sour. When they finally saw who had hired them, suspicion turned to anger. A baron's family working directly with mercenaries? Had the nobles lost their minds? Logan surveyed the restless crowd calmly. These men fight to survive, he thought. If I don't break them now, they'll never be controlled. He stepped forward. His eyes landed on one mercenary. You look funny, Logan said casually. Armor and sword don't suit you. The man stiffened. Of course, Logan didn't truly believe that. But third-rank mercenaries didn't have the luxury of pride, or so they thought. I'm offended, Logan continued. Even a worthless person has pride. The crowd quieted. If you hit me even once, Logan said, I'll pay you a year's wages immediately. And let you leave. He paused. I stake my honor as an aristocrat. You will all be witnesses. The mercenary stepped forward. He was massive. Muscle layered over muscle. Soon to reach second rank once this job was complete. Looking at him, Logan understood the confidence. I've used the sword longer than you've lived. The man scoffed. No need to worry. He began to mock Logan. And Logan ended it. A single punch. Clean. Precise. The mercenary collapsed, unconscious before his body hit the ground. Silence exploded. Mouths hung open. In less than a heartbeat, it was over. They stared at Logan, not in fear, but disbelief. At that age? Such control? James swallowed hard. I knew he was unusual, but this? Logan straightened. Allow me to formally introduce myself, he said calmly. I am the one who summoned you. He let his gaze sweep the crowd. You're wondering why I'd spend money on mercenaries. A pause. I intend to turn you into cavalry crossbowmen. The crowd erupted. Cavalry used horses. Crossbows took too long to reload. Shouts overlapped. James stepped forward. It's not a suitable weapon for mounted combat. Logan nodded. I know. A crossbow was more powerful than a bow, but inexperienced shooters took over a minute to reload. On horseback, even carrying 3 or 4 loaded crossbows, efficiency dropped rapidly. Their confusion made sense. You think I'm wasting money? Logan said. Playing soldier. He turned to James. Train them properly. You'll understand later. Out of the original 350, only 312 passed the initial qualification. Later, Jeff approached Logan, holding a diagram. "What is this?" he asked. "A crossbow," Logan replied. "The one I want built." Jeff studied it. "It's crude," he said honestly. Logan didn't deny it. He had used this weapon for decades in his past life and had drawn it from memory. Jeff was an expert-rank dwarf. He could refine it. Jeff frowned deeper. "You want a container for bolts at the rear," he muttered. "And a self-reloading mechanism?" He scoffed. "What idiot came up with this?" Then he realized. "You did." His face darkened instantly. A moment passed. Then, slowly, it changed. "Actually," Jeff said, rubbing his chin, "it is innovative." He hesitated. "But the cables would snap under tension. And that wooden housing would make it uncomfortable for the shooter." Logan admitted that he didn't know how to arrange the mechanism and gave Jeff full freedom to decide. The dwarf immediately began thinking aloud. "The projectile should be smaller," Jeff said. "And their placement too. One shot is enough. Instead, make the container detachable. Reload with every shot." Logan nodded. He was right. Jeff's eyes widened as the idea took shape. "Even in the hands of a professional," Jeff muttered. "A crossbow can't fire twice in a minute." Not yet, Logan thought. This system wouldn't be invented until the future. He told Jeff that it was enough, just a spring-loaded container, some wood, strong glue, and a bowring. That was all. The gnome's posture straightened. Motivation ignited in his eyes. This was a challenge worth taking. "I'll try," Jeff said. "I'll make something." When Logan casually mentioned that this weapon had been invented by humans, Jeff froze. "Who?" he demanded. "Where?" Logan only smiled. Jeff promised he would finish it within a month, and make something even better. After that, Logan devoted himself to Victor's training. Jeff observed quietly, while Victor's sister watched anxiously from the side. Since arriving, Logan had done only two things for them: fed them properly and allowed them to sleep. That alone had already changed them beyond recognition. When Logan finally gave Victor a break, the boy collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. Logan watched him closely. A 14-year-old, smaller than most of his peers, 20 kilometers without stopping. What pleased Logan most wasn't strength. It was persistence. Endurance. His earlier concern faded. Victor wasn't born a killer. Something terrible had changed his life. After a short rest, Logan told him they would move on to the next stage. Swordsmanship. The kingdom's basic technique, something every knight's apprentice learned. Logan picked up a wooden sword and demonstrated the stance. Victor felt like he was about to black out. His body screamed for rest. But if this was the price for good food and a warm place to sleep, he would pay it. To Logan's surprise, Victor mirrored every movement perfectly. Even the breathing. And this was the first time he had ever seen the technique. Even Damien wasn't this precise at his age. "If you build enough stamina," Logan said, "and perform this technique perfectly 1,000 times in a row, you can call yourself a knight." He handed Victor clear instructions. "If you need anything for training, tell Riku. He'll get it." Victor hesitated. "The only thing I need," he said quietly, "is my sister's safety." Logan understood. Victor wouldn't be going to war anytime soon. But one day, he would become a pillar for his family. The mercenary army and new weapons could grow into a formidable force. But Logan knew better than to rely on assumptions. Jeff might fail. Even if he succeeded, the mercenaries might never master the weapon. Plans were only useful if they survived reality. After Victor's training, Logan went straight to his father. "I want to join the Knights' training." The next day, the captain of the family's nightly order gathered his men. He announced that the first son of the Logan family would be training alongside them. The reaction was immediate. Outrage. Some thought it was a joke. Others were furious, especially those who remembered Logan defeating a knight not long ago. The captain recalled his conversation with Patrick. "The Knights won't be happy," he had warned. Patrick had only replied that he wasn't asking for special treatment. Still, the captain knew the truth. He's the Lord's son. People will hesitate. Logan stepped forward. "If I don't catch up to their results within a week," he said calmly, "pretend nothing happened. I'll leave on my own." The captain smiled. "Good. A week is more than enough." He quietly decided that training difficulty would increase threefold. When the new regimen began, even experienced knights quickly reached their limits. Armor training. Full gear. Endless drills. They collapsed one by one. The captain roared at them. "Your cavalry! How do you not know what your horses endure?" He pushed them harder. "If you can't bear this, then you don't deserve to ride." The knights didn't understand what kind of madness they'd been dragged into. All they knew was that their lives had turned into hell. All because of that damn troublemaker. At that moment, Logan surged forward, light, fast, relentless. He ran past the knights with ease. His movements were nothing like those of ordinary cavalrymen, and the knights stared after him in disbelief. Even the captain of the knightly order was stunned. He couldn't understand why Logan kept increasing the pace. Worse, he was smiling. At this rate, it wouldn't be Logan falling behind the training. It would be the knights. Forced to intervene, the captain finally halted the exercise and ordered a 10-minute break. He approached Logan, convinced that the boy was exhausted. All Logan had to do was admit it, and this madness could end. Instead, Logan smiled calmly. "This is good training," he said. "Knights endure this every day. They have to be strong." The knights sprawled on the ground, stiffened in fear, expecting their captain to explode. But the captain wasn't angry. He was disturbed. This wasn't the reaction he had expected at all. A strange, oppressive atmosphere settled over the field. That same night, Logan left the estate and trained alone in the forest. This was his insurance. If his plans failed, if everything collapsed, he would join the knights and fight on the front lines himself. That meant he needed to grow close to them now. Build trust. Forge connections. His strength could be cultivated through meditation, but the body still needed tempering. That was the purpose of night training. As his core of power expanded, fatigue barely touched him. Logan drew his sword and swung it, channeling his strength with precision. When I reach the second star, he thought, I'll rival high-ranking knights, even farther. The next day, Logan went to check on Jeff's progress, and found almost nothing completed. Jeff's patience snapped. His face was red with anger. Logan immediately apologized, realizing his mistake. Jeff was right. Even if Logan was his owner, a craftsman's pride stood higher than authority. Logan deliberately pressed further. He spoke of wasted weeks. Of money burned for nothing. Of misjudgment. Of expecting too much. Jeff exploded. In 1 month. The gnome snapped. I'll give you a new version. Logan watched carefully. Good, he thought. Jeff was furious enough to start from scratch. If pushed just enough, he would create something extraordinary. 1 month later, Jeff returned. In his hands, a new crossbow. 2 arrows. It fires twice, Jeff said stiffly. Easier to use one-handed. Detachable magazines. Logan tested it. 5 seconds. That's all it took to reload. The range was shorter than ancient battlefield weapons, and the size more compact. But for cavalry? Perfect. Logan could hardly believe how far they'd come. And the war was still a month away. Overjoyed, Logan grabbed Jeff and lifted him off the ground, praising him openly. Jeff scowled. I'm not a child, he snapped. Someone might see. Logan grinned darkly. Make 400. Jeff paled. The mercenaries soon witnessed the weapon in action. The projectile flew farther than any of them expected. James stared in disbelief. A muzzle-loaded crossbow. That power. That speed. That range. If more than 300 cavalrymen were armed with it, the consequences were terrifying. James finally understood. This is what you meant, he said quietly. Cavalry crossbowmen. Jeff worked himself to exhaustion. With help from other craftsmen, he completed the order 2 weeks early, and even produced an additional 100 crossbows. He wanted to supply the knightly order and soldiers as well. But financial strain and the risk of leaking the technology forced him to restrain himself. For now. Logan gave his next command. From today onward, he told James, the mercenaries take the crossbows and clear the mountains beyond our territory. This was the test. If the weapons failed, everything would be meaningless. James said nothing, but his thoughts churned. No one develops weapons like this to hunt monsters. For the first time, the mercenary captain suspected the truth. Logan wasn't preparing for defense. He was preparing for war. During the next night's training, the knights finally began to understand. Logan's stamina was abnormal. Perhaps it was inheritance. If he truly took after his father, swordsmanship should come naturally to him. No one dared compare the two openly. After all, Logan had once lost to his younger brother before even awakening his aura. And yet, he had endured this brutal training for an entire month. The regimen that had originally been designed to drive Logan away had instead taken root within the order. Unexpectedly, it became a source of motivation for the lower-ranking knights. As the weeks passed, they began to understand their horses better, what exhaustion felt like under armor, what endurance truly meant. Empathy replaced irritation. The bonds between the knights strengthened. Even the captain hadn't anticipated this outcome. He had continued pushing them only because the first young master hadn't left. But the results far exceeded his expectations. One night, Logan suddenly felt it. An unpleasant gaze. His skin prickled as goosebumps spread across his arms. His lucky talisman appeared on foot, quietly approaching. After exhausting his body through training, Logan turned inward, stimulating his inner awareness through meditation. Recently, he had sensed change. If he succeeded this time, his strength would undergo a qualitative leap. With this enhancement, even Aura Masters, Supremes, and high-tier mages would no longer threaten him. Logan focused power into his chest and began chanting ancient spells. His aura grew brighter, denser, until the room itself was saturated with his presence. Compared to before, this aura was overwhelmingly stronger. When the training finally ended, Logan opened his eyes. A 2-star core pulsed within him. Now he had a foundation. Now he could begin learning the second secret sword technique. The deadly iron cut. The first technique had already exceeded expectations. The second would be far more terrifying. If he mastered it before the war, even high-ranking knights would no longer frighten him.
And this is how this part of this manhwa ends. Also in the future I will be bringing more and more exciting videos. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, hit the like button and stay tuned until the next video.